think we're ready to go. Let's get rolling. No time like now. And hopefully tonight we won't have a connection break. Unlike last night, that was rather inconvenient. Hey Michael, Travis. So we've got an A1990, it's only giving 5 volts, 50 milliamps on these, no matter what port you plug it into. So, yeah, some people might sort of sit there and go 5 volts, 50 milliamp, maybe that's T2. I'm hoping about 50% of the time it is actually a short circuit on the board, so let's hope it's a short circuit. Because a short circuit is fixable as long as it's not in the CPU or not in the main board itself. But if it's just a normal part on the board, then yes, we have a chance of fixing this. Hey Fox, Barry, admin, Leandri, Ed. I did message Jim to let him know that we're streaming, but I don't know if he's fallen asleep or not. Hard to say. Ricky Spanish. I have to post some diode measurements where I have posts for having them flexible still inside the GitHub of OpenBook. What? The old GitHub file for OpenBoard data, yeah, that's deprecated now. It's all held in a database on my server, which is, yeah, the OpenBoard data server. So unfortunately, things just didn't quite work out right with the GitHub system, so I went with the active online server system. Oh, that's a difficult one to get off. Hey, Infomedia, Miles, Kenny, Nick. Okay, we've got a bit of dust. That is actually a good sign. A bit of dust on these 1990s tends to give me hope that we have a short circuit here. So fingers crossed that is what we end up with. Alright, now I've got to find my appropriate tools. It's my T5. We won't be using T6, but we'll still get it out. The T8 we will be using. Where's my T4? There we go, T4. SDB. So I have to send you a file. Ricky, do you have Flexboard View on hand or not? I'm guessing maybe you don't. If you do have a file with all the measurements in it, then yeah, I mean you can send that along. Hopefully I can parse it in a way that I can quickly put the data on. If you go to openboarddata.org, you can have a look at the data that is there. You can now click on the boards and see the content of the data in there. Zoltan. Okay, you got Flexboard. If you've got Flexboard View, if it's the latest, one of the latest versions, you should be able to just load the board that you've got the data for, and then go into the board preference. I don't know why I'm saying I should just show. So what have we got here? This is a, is it 928 or natural government? This is 18. What? This is a different board to what I'm. Just give me a second here. 1827. Okay. Well, there's a new one on the block. But we'll take the 3115 as an example. If you load the board, go in your preferences, and then you put in the board number down here, so you know whatever you've got, you search, and then it'll come back and tell you what files or entries it has that might match your search. Pick the one we want, download data, and there we have all the currently available data for this particular board. And if you want to visualize that, you can, let's see, go here, highlight all the points, so all the green dots where we do have OpenBoard data presently. And if you want to add data to a particular chip or something like that, this is bad. again, let's say this one, you can just right click on it, edit the OB data, and then you can put all your values in there, and you can, diode mode, whatever, things like that. So I try to make it as easy as I can. It probably can be made a little bit easier, but it's at least a workable solution now. You will have to first, make sure you've downloaded that data. If you have troubles with that, go into the preferences in open board data and make sure these settings are correct. The defaults should work. I've programmed them in. You shouldn't have to change from those ones. Hey Nick, with the Aten, I basically, I'm sort of got to get used to it. I need to read the documentation on how to disable the instant turn off that it has when I put it back into the cradle. Because when I'm doing the back and forth with donor part to the board I'm repairing, every time I pull it back out of the cradle, I have to press the button again. So I would like to be able to make it that it will shut down when I put it back in the cradle, but it will not reset it, sort of thing. So I should be able to just take it out of the cradle and it will spool back up, rather than me having to press the button explicitly to reactivate it. So if I can solve that problem, then I think I'll be pretty happy with it. Ricky, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. If you have any dramas, just send me an email, or you can catch me on Facebook sometimes. Anyway, we're going to get this board out. Like I said, because there is dust, got my fingers crossed that we'll find a short in one particular area, which this particular design of the case, chassis, whatever you want to call it, does seem to have a susceptibility. I could really do with it being that particular fault, and hopefully it will not have killed the SD RAM or anything like that, because unfortunately about 1 out of every 10 that this short occurs, if it is the short I'm thinking of, it unfortunately takes out something in the storage chips, the SSD chips, and I've never been able to get them to come back. Even with, you get the T2 up, and you get it on the DFU mode on a Mac, but it just doesn't come back. I've even tried replacing the chips, no luck. Just 2 buttons to get into the menu and then change the timeout to the time you're on. Oh, okay, alright Tim. I will do that after, when I have a chance to read up on the documentation. I'm not going to do it on stream. We'll just tolerate it for the moment, but it is good to know it can be changed. I know last night someone did mention that it can be changed. I just haven't had a chance today to get to it. I actually tried getting up at a reasonable hour today, and I think I made it to about the foot of my bed. Like I rolled out of bed, stood up, walked past the foot of my bed, and then I literally just fell back into bed and didn't wake up for another 2 hours. And even after then, I felt quite trashed waking up. So it has not been the greatest of days for productivity, and I've got no real excuse for having such poor levels of energy, other than just simply my own misbehavior, staying up late, things like that. Admin Media, your iPad Pro is coming back as lost stolen. Okay, so who did you buy it from? Or did someone work out your serial number and decided to do a terrible joke on you? Hey Miles. I mean, it's not so much the 3 o'clock thing. I mean, I've done the 3 o'clock thing for quite a while, but I think it's probably a case of the fact that I've been having poor sleep due to the circumstances. just so many things going on. It's not that I can't go to sleep. It's not that I can't stay asleep in terms of chemical or anything like that. It's a case of there are things that are going on around here that wake me up and I have to attend to. And that is what saps me of my sleep. So yeah, you bought it from a pawn shop. YouTube better not demonetize me for saying that. Oh, sounds like it's going to have to go back there. Sounds like someone stole it, sold it, and that shop didn't perform due diligence to verify that they had it all cleared. It's a big reason why I won't actually sell iPhones or iPads or anything like that. If people do ask me, it's like, oh, you got any iPads to sell or anything like that? And even if I have got some floating around here, I won't sell them to them because I never know when something like that's going to happen. Oh, whoops, kind of helps if you take out some screws, Paul. Just a couple more. Just hang on there. I had a chunk of peppercorn or something in my tooth. It was very annoying. Miles, the problem I have is that, it's always something with the fur kids or something on the property, and over the years you've simply forced yourself to have to wake up to those scenarios, and it does wear you out. And then of course your body becomes programmed like that, and so you don't tend to fall into a truly deep sleep. I can't remember the last time I slept 8 hours, and I'm actually scared to sleep 8 hours, like take drugs or anything like that, sleeping pills, because if I do, then I'm going to miss something happening. And yeah, if you wake up to a scenario that you missed because you slept, then you may have a hard time forgiving yourself. Alright, let's have a look. Press and hold the 1 and 3 buttons, then press the 3 button until you get the standby screen. The max timeout. Ooh, hey James Ewing. Alright, okay. That sounds simple enough. So press and hold 1 and 3, then press 3 until you get the standby screen. Okay. Okay, standby. Standby is actually set to off. The max timeout you said is 10 minutes, using the temperature up and down. We just went back to... That's weird, it just went straight back to... Okay, let's try this again. Standby. Okay, set it to 10 minutes. Okay, let's see if that works. That wasn't too bad. 18W. Switch to a dog person. Oh no, that will not be any better, believe me. We actually have a rare time at the moment where the neighbours do not have any dogs that we're aware of. Previously we had a few dogs in the neighbours, which is fine, but they would yap all night. Anything that came up, they would start going off, and the neighbours would not come out and check what was going on. We would actually be the ones going out to check to see what was going on with their dogs. Making sure, were they getting into an animal, possum, was there another dog in the yard, all that sort of stuff. We were the ones checking on them, not them. Alright, my suspect, unfortunately, is not a suspect in this, not a guilty party in this particular case. Hey, Bremo, I was setting the 10-minute time for the standby on the hot air. Okay, yep, that's... Okay, my probes must be a little bit dirty. Yeah, no, sure. This section here very commonly causes shorted caps. Okay, so it wasn't my anticipated area, but we're still going to have a look because there are other areas that have got the dust on them. So it could be something like a CD3215 cap, things like that. Yeah. Hey Robin, good to see you. I was going to email you today. Robin, with that, I was contemplating seeing if we could tap USB from a spare port on the USB hub, which is I think U2700. The only trouble is it's on the other side of the board. I think it might be easier if I just find you another 3115 board. I'll have a look at what the specs are for that one in terms of CPU and speed and see if I've got something similar, and it'll just come out to the same price really, because I did do probing with the oscilloscope today on both the inputs from the PCH for the USB, and they're both dead. There's no activity at all coming out for those particular ports from the PCH. So I figured, well, I can't fix that. There's just nothing I can do. So the only thing I can do is to tap the USB off one of the spare ports on the hub. I tried to see if there were other spare ports I can tap off from within the PCH, like even if I had to, wiggle some wires underneath the PCH and intercept a couple of the balls, but there was nothing close by on the edge. So it's either tap off from the hub on the other side of the board and run 2 wires, which is going to be ugly and probably not reliable, or we just look at another board for you. It's an interesting one. It really is an interesting little project, to be honest. I wish we had better success, but it is again a classic example of second fault syndrome. You fix up the main one and then the other one says, "Hi, thanks for revealing me. Now I'm here to make your day terrible." Yeah, well. No, Robert, it's cool. It's cool. It's all good. And it was fun to do it on stream. Like, we solved the first couple of problems, but it was just unfortunate that that one came up. So yeah, let me know in email which way you want to go. I'd say probably best if we just look for another board. If I can't find another board that's close enough in spec, then we can either just opt to not even worry about that second port, since you do have one functional port. But I know even if people don't use the second port, just not having it is enough to drive them insane, and I get it. So all choices. I'm pretty sure I've got some 3115s around that might do the job. We may have to change the serial number, I'm not sure. Depends if there's any software on that hard drive that is locked to the serial number. Okay, so we don't appear to have any visible shorts in the suspect areas, at least on this bottom side, so we'll check the top side. Happy with another board. Okay, cool. Yep. Alright, I'll have a look and see what we can find. I get so many of those machines, and there we go. That looks suspicious, doesn't it? Don't you think? Just a little too suspicious. It's probably not even shorted. It's probably not even the fault. It's just a decoy. I mean, check that out. It's not even shorted. How depressing is that? Hey, Warren Stamps, good evening. Unfortunately, this is happening a little too often lately, where you go, wow, that is a dead set killer fault there, surely that's the smoking gun. And then you find it's not, and it's like, no, that was just another ordinary cap having a bad day, but it's not the killer cap. Hey Hubman, how's things going in Townsville? I'll be in there on Sunday, by the way. Gotta go to the train station, which means I'll go to Bunnings and waste money. Yeah, we're looking for something like that 1827, and maybe that cap is actually at fault. Maybe it's not shorted, but perhaps it's required for something like boost, and perhaps it doesn't have enough capacitance to produce that boost, or at least not sufficient amount of boost. So after we've had a look over on this board, we will go back, replace that cap, or see what that cap is for, and yeah, replace it and see if we have any change of behavior. Yeah, because nothing else is really coming up. Oh well. Very busy. Got an iPad Air board today. It's been giving you a headache. Oh. Why is it giving you a headache? What are you doing messing with those things? At least the CPU area, the area of great terror, is clean. Okay, so let's go have a look. Maybe there's junk under this CD3215. Yeah, maybe it got damaged. The first thing we'll do, let's have a look at the board view and schematic and see what it is. It's worse than no fan spin. It's yeah. Let's see. What did I say? Was it 1987 or 1827? You can see how that's a bit confusing. No, I do hope I have an 1827. How do I not have an 1827? Where is the 1827 board? Come on now. That's a joke. Why is your mouse pointer locked? Oh, right. Sorry, that's the wrong one. That's a different one. Yeah, we can fix that up. There we go. That was the actual microscopes. Ricky Spanish, right. I was just going to check to see if it's on my main server. Let's see. Let's see, secure shell. What the hell? How do I not have the 1827? Okay, let's see. I don't know if I've got Discord on here though. Typically, yeah. Oh great, now I've got to scan with my QR code. Oh, NEMS. What? Just hold for 2 seconds, people. Come on, come on, come on. Scan QR code. Why do they make it so difficult? Yes. Yeah, I do have a perfectly good username and password. Pionov 1827 is not available as far as he knows. 1814, 1041, okay. Alright, the Pionov has spoken. I've got a cough, hang on. Is rather unpleasant. Let's see, hyphen on your iPad Air 2 won't show battery percentage or indicate change. Takes perfect 2 amps at 5 volts. Oh. Alright, so not the TriStar. Yeah. Well, good luck with that one. Good luck with that. Not for me. Alright, let's see. I think we're pretty much... Okay, the area is the same though. We'll go to quad view. And it's this itty bitty first cap here. And it's effectively... Yeah. I mean, it's certainly one I would replace. But I can't say I can fault it directly. But the fact that there is corrosion there means that there may be corrosion hidden under the chip itself. So we're going to look at edge view and see if we go. Can't really see anything under the chip either. This is hilarious. This was supposed to be a 10-minute job, and it's turning into something a little more than that. Alright, well, since it's the only thing visible at fault, we will change that, and we'll progress from there. We will do it in 2 stages. First stage, we will remove the cap. Second stage, we will replace the cap. There is a little bit of damage on the second one there, or not damage, but corrosion, so we'll check that just in case it's that one that's actually at fault. Hey Greg, good to see you. Okay, so we actually have 700 ohms on that one. And 700 ohms on that one, so it's pretty hard to actually blame either of those. Now that does look like bug poop or bug pee type fault as opposed to dust fault. I say we get rid of both of those. They're both 220 picofarad. We get rid of them both, see if this still boots. Otherwise we'll just try to replace that chip. Use a bit of Jason Vilna level flux. Actually, I keep forgetting to ask him if he prefers Vilna or Filma. Because obviously the Dutch side of things wants me to say Filma, but the Americans will say Vilna. Yeah, I don't want to damage that little connector there, so I'm gonna... Yeah, hey, go. Yes, I did get your email, by the way. I'm trying to think now what it was for, but yeah, I've got a reply to that. Yeah, catching that bug doing the pee on the board, that was quite a moment. For all the wrong reasons. How you going with that shot, John? What sort of side effects did you get? Sore arm, bit icky, or pretty much nothing in particular? Am I friends with Lewis Rossman, or are we both enemies? Well, I don't know about Lewis Rossman with one N, but I do know a Lewis Rossman with 2 N's at the end, and yeah, we get along. You know, we have fun. We joke with each other and stuff like that. We don't really know each other all that well. I'm not sure how I would be if I ever met him. I suspect he would find me rather boring and not quite on the same page as him with many things. But then he might consider that interesting. I would consider that conflicting. And right now, you know, he's off busy doing political stuff, so the area that we previously had a lot of commonality in. He is sort of moving away from that, you know, because he's getting involved in the political side of things, which is not something I'm comfortable with personally, as in I can't go along and do that kind of stuff yet. I don't wish to. And as a subsequent, because of that, we don't really talk that much like we used to. It's no drama. It's just the way it goes. You know, you meet people in life, you chat with them a fair bit, and then, you know, things diverge. But yeah, we got no problem at all. If he rang me up or he messages me with anything, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. I'll talk to him. Frenemies, yeah. We're sort of superficial frenemies. It's about the best way to describe it. Hey, Six Hills. I'm just going to zoom in a little extra here. Alright, so I don't know if anything's going to change here. Like I said, this is 5 volts, 54 milliamp. And now I've got nothing. Seriously, I've got nothing now? Five volts, 54. Well, absolutely nothing on that. Oh wait, no, it finally came up. Ooh, it's a bit intermittent. It might be because of those missing caps, or it might be just a bad connector on this. Oh, it's hardly a bromance. And these days, I'm also talking more with people like, Vince from my mate Vince, and then Adam from Adamant IT. Yeah, because we're still more, they're more in the same field as what we're currently doing here, as in we get a device, we repair it. Lewis has leveled up, he's now into the political sphere, and his, how could you say, his peers are people more like, say, Linus, and whoever else is out there like that. Hey, Creature ND Nihill was complaining that I blocked him, telling me he's full of crap. I haven't done anything such like that. He's having delusions that I blocked him. And if he is blocked, well, it was probably one of the admins, in which case I can't do anything about it. I'll have to go and find it and unblock him. And I'll send him an invoice for the inconvenience of me having to deal with his little personal tantrum there. Alright, so what's the bet? Shall we just replace this CD3215? It's a COOZ one. Okay. I might put the 220 picofarads back and see how it behaves, but I suspect nothing's going to change. I'll put them back and then I'll change that particular CD32. DeAndre, you're kidding me all this time and I'm thinking you're some... I hate that. I really hate that you can do that to me, that you can turn up in a completely different name, and it's a good thing I didn't say anything bad about you, eh? You could have went, oh, that's it, I'm kicking Paul Daniels off my list. That's the other problem I have, is it seems Lewis is very good at, I don't know, maybe he just puts effort into remembering people and names and things like that. Me, I'm just like, you pretty much have to turn up 100 times before I even recognize you. But it's good to see you here, Graham. Thank you. Well, and for all the other previous times. I see you did do the MacBook the other day. I left a comment on there that one slot problem is unfortunately quite common on all of the A12 series. No wonder you don't get any time to do your own stuff. You're sitting here watching me do nothing for 3 hours. Well, it's good to have you here. Thank you. I appreciate the participation, as it were. Alright, so we need 220s. Let's see, 220, 16 volt, 201s. Definitely not something that I'm going to have on board. So let's find this part. iPhones are probably going to have it, but anyway, we'll search a little broader than that. So 220 picofarads, 16 volt, 201. Go. And as expected, they're basically everywhere. iPhone 6 as expected does have them. Most of the iPhones should. It's the sort of capacitor I'd expect to see on an iPhone. Oh, damn it. Yeah, I give up. Yeah, alright. You're Daniel. I was going to say, why would your name be that when your other handle is Adamant? Right, he's called Graham. Yes, you're quite right. Thank you for the confusion. Now I just need to erase that portion of my video so that I don't look quite the idiot. But I think that moment's long gone now, and it's well established that I'm just the idiot. I was going to say it was a little strange, because I'd expect right now at this time of the day, if it was Graham, that you'd be flat out busy at work. Hey, Andrew Hughes. Alright, so let's see. Hey, 10 minute. Alright, so, okay, these are... No, this should have them. Ah, what a cluster job on this board. Okay, 239, 3115. Okay, there's one there. We'll grab that one. Oh, yes, and it works straight out of the... Awesome. Fantastic. That's much better. Yeah, because it was being a real pain for me to have to press the button every damn time. It was like, I appreciate the button feature, but having to press it every time, that was driving me mad. Creature, what's new on your side of things? What are you building? What monstrosity of evil madmanness have you created now? Okay, we just need to find another one of these 220 caps. And there we go. Lo and behold, they're both those ones. And it's right there, that 3114. It's that one right there. Stream died? No, we should be still okay. I can see there's been a bit of a drop in the data rate, but that's not my fault. I've been watching that guy, Stuff Made Here, and it seems like he's only been around for a year or so, but he's probably been around for much longer, but he does an impressive amount of stuff in his workshop. I've got to admit, his workshop's very well stocked, so I'm kind of curious what he's back history is. He's got a lot of dollars worth of gear in his basement. Sorry, DeAndre96. Looks like I've caused a chain reaction there. You're getting a lot of praise that accidentally ended up your way because of my inability to understand what was said. Well, enjoy it. Maybe he was a bank robber. And micro repairs. And yeah, that's why generally you leave these things screwed on. Seriously, you're gonna give me nothing now? That long delay is certainly a concern. Right, at this point, yes, I think replacing that 3215 is probably the most appropriate course of action. Ed, you think he designed something that bought him lots of dollars? Okay, well, no, that's a fairly legit way of doing things. I guess we all hope and wish we sort of have that kind of event. It just doesn't always happen that way. He certainly has the smarts for it, that's for sure. About the only thing I can put against him is the fact that he likes to use Python for programming. It's like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel a little bit hurt. But given that the actual real world result of whatever he did is that he's got a hell of a lot of interesting equipment and seemingly time to produce these things, I guess I can't judge him too harshly for the fact that he uses Python. Okay, so we're taking the 3215 off. This is one of the newer ones. This is the Z series. I'm fairly sure I've got some Zs. You can use an earlier edition, the non-Z ones, but I prefer to try and keep them the same. Ach, niemand. Oh, his wife is actually quite a comical, an excellent companion in his videos, I think. I think it was the exploding bat that he had, and when he said, you know, he feels like this is his greatest creation, and his wife just sort of goes, "You know, you have a daughter." Yeah, just the way she said it, so deadpan, and it was excellent comedy duo. And he's like, yeah, you know, I can always make more of those. Anybody can make those. Not everybody can make a exploding bat. At the moment though, my video watching is being occupied by, what's the channel called? Viva La Dirts, I think it is. They're a New Zealand comedy skit group, and they originally were doing things like Skyrim type chuck-offs, and now they're doing IT shop type chuck-off. It's quite entertaining. Alright, let's find some 32s. I gotta be careful, unfortunately, because I've failed to throw away the fake 32s that I've got. So I've got real 32s and I've got fake 32s, and I'm gonna have to be careful I don't pick up the wrong ones. Don't ask me why I didn't throw them out. Yeah, these things just happen in my life, okay? Stop making me feel worse about my behaviour. Viva la Dirt League. Thank you, Creature. Yes, that's them. Okay, pretty sure these are the Zeds. Yeah, these are the Zeds. Just verify, pin 1 down there, away from those 2 caps. Epic Ends PC, man, that was pretty funny stuff. Can't imagine how much money they must have spent doing all that stuff. Yeah, the costumes, the equipment, the hiring the places or whatever. No, you don't. Don't you try that crap on me. Still getting used to this Atom, so I'm not sure sort of where my thresholds are for when I'm going to go to reflow versus blowing it off the board. Okay, looks like we've got our reflow, but it does not feel like a happy reflow. That's more like it. Still not happy though. It needs some flux. I ran out of flux. And because of the lack of flux, it didn't quite sit right. So I'm going to have to bring it up to the reflow temperature again, give it a tap. Because what could have happened is... Okay, that's good. What can happen is if you don't have enough flux under there, when it does that shift, the balls can sort of just shear. And so you end up with... you basically end up kind of like a dry joint effect. Nick Stevens, these ones here, these are yeah. I should know how to pronounce this. Tianli. Let's see, what's the particular model of them? But yeah, the fact that they've got this dual taper grind on them. I don't know if you can get these ones anymore. Oh, here we go. Uneasy 0.08.1. So yeah. They're very nice because they're strong, but they've got that precision on them. Anyway, so that's nice. That's all. That got tapped, you know, when I reflowed it the second time, tapped. Let's cool it off a bit more. Oh, they're not available anymore. Ah, bugger. Is that a resistor stuck under the top right corner? Don't know. What I do have to do with the nozzle on that hot air station is to actually cut it back quite a bit. Let's see, resistor stuck top right. I can't see anything. Can't see anything. Everything looks good to me. even if it is a little out of focus. No, the air suction's not that strong. I mean, I do have a very strong, like, this moves 1,000 cubic meters an hour, but it's not strong enough to actually pull parts off the board or anything like that. Like, I can leave stuff lying around here. Even when I stick it in, it's not going to pull it off, because it's a very large duct size, so it doesn't tend to have a lot of vacuum pull in that regards. Anyway, let's see how we go. See that lump next to the small cap? Why are you people making me do this? It's probably just flux. I honestly cannot see anything. Okay, maybe I'm blind. I don't know. You tell me. I can't see anything attached there. Lump near the small cap. Yeah, how many small caps there are? You're talking about that maybe? That's just, a bit of flux. That was from the original installation of that cap. No, I can't see anything. Okay, so here we go. Probably going to have no change at all. Yeah, it's still stalling on the startup, so something's up. It's not happy about something still. Yep, still rebooting. Alright, so we probably do... Well, we may have a short still. Nothing's changed. Damn it. Well, so much for this being a quick one. So let's go back over and have a look again. Unless this is a bad... Doesn't look fatigued. Doesn't look damaged. There could be anything. Alright, we'll bring out the thermal cam and we'll see if anything has a heartbeat. I see that Lewis got his ego handed back to him today by the thermal camera. That was truly unfortunate timing for him. To go off about how they're not really, that useful, and then to find himself a heartbeat fault that would have only have ever been picked up using the infrared camera, at least realistically. That's why the universe is something you don't want to mess with too much, because it's always got ways of handing your ego back to you and saying, yeah, you might want this dry cleaned afterwards. I'm not sure we'll see anything. If it does come up, it's going to be quite quick. But here's hoping. And here's hoping I actually charge this. Did I charge this? Ach, nee man. By cuck. Always forget to have this on charge when the day is finished. The trouble is, see, because I turn off everything in this workshop, it's not going to charge while I'm not in the workshop. So now I need another USB-C. Oh, actually, I know what I can do. Someone did leave me with a USB-C brick. It should be ample to do the task at hand. It's not a... it's not an Apple one. You're kidding me, you're not going to work? Wow. Selective much? Picky. Yes, unfortunately it's a comparatively clean A1990. I was happy when I saw that. Oh, hey Mo, what you doing, buddy? Come on, you can't go in, you know that. Hey, what you doing? Oh, buddy. Yeah, we'll maybe let you in later. Hmm? What you doing? Come on. Oh. Milo's going to chuck a fit. Close the door on his face. He's going to be like, how dare you? I will sing the song of my people. Alright. At some point, a leader's going to knock on that door and say that Milo is singing the song of our people. Or his people. We're not going to get a full view on this, but we'll do the best we can. So what we're going to be looking for is something that's pulsing. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard because of the board, the bench, having been heated up by the hot air. Now this is where the replacement chip was. So even though the heat of the bench is dominating, it doesn't mean it's going to hide any momentary flash ups. So turn off. Oh great, now the camera's decided to... Well, that explains that, because I switched off the wrong one. I switched off the... damn it. I switched off the camera rather than the computer. Come on. You come back. And we're back. That's nice. Nice to see that the software restarts properly. I was kind of hoping we would see the crosshair leap off to one direction, but well, it doesn't look like we got that lucky. Okay, so let's try the other side. And I did not do anything to the camera this time. Yeah, one of the... Either that or just a wooden, inch-thick wooden block would do it. What are you doing, camera? This is why I won't release the software for this camera, because there's too many bugs in it. It works well enough for me to perform this sort of task, but if I was to sell it to someone, then they would not be happy with that. Yeah, I don't even know if this is going to be a short fault. Find some cardboard or something comparatively thick. It won't hold it off long term, but it might be enough short term. Oh no, the software fault is not that of the driver. There is no driver. That's the fun part. Okay, the reflection you can see there is obviously not the actual fault. You can see I can lift this up, and it could be that we have a damaged ISL on this. That's entirely possible, although the fact that we have a slow startup on one side of the port does tend to make me think it's not the ISL in this instance. Crikey, mate. Connector just came off again. Looking for hotspots outside. How do you mean hotspots outside? Okay, now where that just fired off up here, even though the damn camera just dropped out on me again. Do you mean, say, in the shrubbery and things like that? Okay, I don't know if that's a... Ah, damn it, that was just a reflection. I had high hopes for a second then. Power off. Power on. Power off. Power on. No, I haven't had a look at the CPU. I should just check the resistances. Although usually if it is a CPU, you tend to still get your 20 volts. And then you just don't get beyond that. I have no idea what it is up here that's... it's a piece of tape that's sending it crazy. There we go. Now my finger temperature is sending that crazy. Yeah, I should check the resistances of the board, but I have a feeling that the CPU will be pretty much where we're expecting. Damn it, that connector keeps coming back to haunt me. Why am I moving the board? I'll just move the camera. Oh, those two little spots in the middle there, don't know if they're... Yeah, that's just reflecting the top of the conductors. Once again, the software goes to shite. The reason why it locks up is that there's probably a particular type of frame that it's sending. It might be like a reset frame or something, and I'm not handling it correctly, and so I lose synchronization with what it's sending me. No, that's... yeah, they're just reflections, those things. Flip the board over. So it's looking like it's quite possibly not a short. It doesn't seem to happen often enough for it to be a keyframe. And the data they send isn't really like that. It's just simply... normally it's just an array of values. Yeah, I think it's time to move on. Yeah. Okay, we'll have another visual inspection, and then I think that's... yeah, that one might have to be... think about it till tomorrow sort of thing. I'll check the CPU values though. That's really annoying. I thought with that, at least that one cap, but when it wasn't shorted, it was like, ah, no, we're going to be having one of these nights. So typical. Creature, I was doing that. Okay, maybe not rapid, but I was doing it. I was doing the on, off, on, off, on, off. Let's see, do I have any board data on this? I do not. Okay. Okay, we'll just do some basic resistance checks. 4.5, that's perfectly legit. Yeah, 4.6. These should be about 2, I think. 1.58, again, that's okay. 6. These should all be common bus, so... .56. Oh, so I don't think it's even getting to this particular stage. That's a bit of a concern. Half an ohm on that one. Oh god, don't do this to me. Yeah, I would consider that to be a bit low. Crap. Damn it. Damn it. Back. Again, the structure is different. So I don't know, yeah, they are big and chunky, but I have a feeling that maybe a smidge low, even for me. Do we even check the display connector? Yeah, this one does have the mux, I believe, so it shouldn't. Yeah, is there a mux under there? Yeah, there's a mux chip under there, so that shouldn't be happening. I don't know. I'm disinclined at this point to explicitly believe that it is the CPU, mostly because I'm getting obscure behavior with the connections on the CD3215s. If I was getting perfect startup on them, I would be fine. Okay, fine, this is dead CPU. But the fact that it's a bit dodgy, intermittent, that's what gives me pause for thought. Alright. Scope, what? Oh, right, sorry, right. I was going to say, I thought you were asking for... yeah. So this is definitely one of those frustrating ones, because you have this tiny bit of damage there, and then somehow that translates potentially to a very dead machine. And then you do say to yourself, well, is there other damage that I just simply have not seen? So I guess we can have a look at edge on. It could be a tantrum cap, yeah. I'm starting to get a little bit irritated with these jobs lately. It's one of those GAY chips. And the fact that we had bug corrosion could actually be a red herring in the first place. It could be there was nothing going wrong with that port. It was purely just a coincidence that there happened to be a bit of corrosion there. Yeah, sometimes, like on say that 3115 from last night, there was corrosion all over the board, all manners of corrosion. But in the end, it was the SMC that was faulty, causing the primary issue. And funnily enough, the SMC itself didn't actually have any corrosion. So that's why I was saying you got to be careful not to get suckered into those red herrings. And I'm wondering whether the corrosion on that 220 picofarad cap was exactly that. It was just a red herring, and the primary issue lays somewhere completely differently. Sometimes these chips here fail. The PRC USB 32 chips. But I don't think that's going to be our issue at this point. We've got a tiny spot of corrosion there. Now I'm not yet prepared to replace that ISL because I don't have consistent behavior on the USB ports. If I had consistent behavior on all the ports, then I would swap the ISL. I think I might put the pin in this one and jump to the next board for the night. Maybe I'll come back with fresh eyes tomorrow. I'm sort of like starting to just go around in circles there. Oh. I still haven't solved the heat sensitive M1 either. And I've reballed the PMIC on it. It still does the same thing. Okay, what's this? Fault on keyboard, trackpad doesn't work, extremely slow. Tried reinstalling macOS, now stuck in a boot loop. Oh. Oh, well, this is going to be fun. Especially if there's nothing wrong with the board. It could just simply be that the deck is damaged, like the keyboard deck, trackpad, mouse, that sort of thing. And there's no real repair for me, other than just simply say to them, replace the deck. I'd say it's probably throttling from damage to the keyboard and trackpad. Yeah, Miles, that's pretty much the spirit of it, Miles, yes. Now, this is going to be a 1700 board, isn't it? You just know it's going to be. We've got a dent on the side here. Okay, I can't be absolutely sure it's going to be a 1700, but I've got a feeling it's going to be a 1700. And if it's a 1700, I'm just going to cry. I hate those boards. It would be cool to click on 2 spots of damage on flex board and give you a yellow, and the other chips we know good bad with the probably too much of a data thing there. Come on, tell me 1700. Where are you? Yes, it's a 1700. Fuck's sake. 1700, I'll tell you now. I think I've got 1 out of maybe 10. 1 out of 10 I've managed to fix. The rest I can get to 20 volts. Yeah, they're dead, but they come up to 20 volts and then nothing. And I can't get them to restore. It's just, it seems to be a board that is very fragile. Everything upsets it. It just dies. Dies all too easily, leaving a somewhat good looking corpse, but it's very dead. I'm not even going to bother taking it out at this point, because honestly these things are a major pain in the backside to take out and reinstall. You only want to take these out if you really have to. Okay, so 3217s on them. On the upside, at least this one actually boots, it seems. Well, it did boot. Now it loops. No, it's not. It's not so much that it's the i9. It's just that I think the 1700 represents the peak of Apple's stupidity, or over designing, or excessive designing rather, not over designing, excessive designing. And they've just loaded this machine up with way too many parts. Like, you compare this to an M1 and there's a few thousand extra parts on this one. So let's see if I can find where the 1700 is. Well, let's say you bring up the 2020 board, and what have we got? 13,000 pins, 4 and a bit thousand parts. Okay. Now let's bring up the 1700. So let's say 4,300 parts. You're kidding me? It's so bad I don't have the 7. Oh, there it is, right next to it. Ha! Oh, damn it! That's the BRD file. I want the BVR. The BVR actually looks nice. And this one has got 6,700 parts. So yeah, that's another. That's almost double the parts on this one. So it's ludicrous. It is just absolutely ludicrous. There's just simply too many parts on these boards now. And so that's why I consider it to be a case of Apple going just too far with their over-designing. There's too many parts, so with every part you add, there's going to be extra probability of failure. And with twice as many parts, you're going to have probably more than twice as many chances of failure. So what I'm going to do is just disconnect the battery. Ach man, dat is nach the battery. Come on, let you come. Come on, come on. Nah, there you go. Touch bars die. Occasionally they do. Most of the time it's just the driving electronics that dies. So yeah, if you ever see a 1700 board, just run. Really, just run. It's like a horror movie. Don't stick around. Run. Okay, so let's say liquid damage got into this. Okay, they didn't say liquid damage. It's now I'm gonna have to check my job queue. We're at 970. Sod off, Google. $970. Onboard keyboard trackpad doesn't work. Extremely slow. Tried to reinstall a macOS and now stuck in boot loop. Why did I pick up liquid damage from? Good thing I've got the notes here. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking liquid damage and I don't understand why. The only good thing about the last sort of generation of these Intels is the fact that they gave us back the escape key. If you program with Vim, you'll understand why that is fantastic to have back. The old escape key on the touch bar is just a nightmare. We're taking it out because I was thinking it was liquid damage somewhere and now I realise it was not. So who knows what I'm going to be in for. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all happy that I'm going to take this 1700 out of the board. It's out of the chassis. If it goes wrong, I'm blaming you all. New board title? No, the title should be fine. Hey Greg. Come here to watch me suffer? Of course you have. That's what you do. I am certainly not a fan of the touch bar. I can appreciate it had some novel uses, you know, it was an interesting thing to have, but realistically I think it was a waste of resources. And from the programming side of it, as in an application development, it was another thing that you had to add to your code, and yeah, it was like, ugh. Hey GD Tech. And of course when things went wrong with it, there was also the problem, well I think we still have it, where you can have that security update failure because of an issue with the touch bar, and then you got stuck in that loop and you couldn't get out. That was always fun. I think I've got a few machines that I've had to write off as no fix because of that. So the machine itself is perfectly fine, but because of the touch bar issue and that security update required, couldn't do anything with it. It just became bin filler. I'm certainly hoping with the M1, I think it's a new leaf for the Apple engineers, and so far I'm pretty happy with how they're doing with that. I mean, I suppose it's debatable. You could say that the fact that they've got the integrated PMIC, yeah, everything in the PMIC is a bit of a problem. I don't know if the PMICs are coded to the board or not. I haven't had a chance to suffer that. They're not impossible to rework. They are a little bit delicate, but they're not impossible. Like I said, I think the bigger issue is going to be a case of can we get supply of them. The other upside is, theoretically, we probably should see less CPU deaths. Theoretically. So much theory. Hey Rilla, good evening. Uh, I think the thing that adds insult to injury with the 1700 is the fact that, okay, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of their development, and they went along and they put like half a dozen of these 6 or 8 pin FPC connectors on there, and it's really frustrating to deal with them. Really frustrating. When you want to put these things back together, you basically just have to get lots of tape and tape them down. And even with the tape, half the time it's still a major schlep to admittingly, these ones aren't so bad. It's the ones here, this triple setup here. And just when you think you've got them all, you realise you've trapped one underneath, and it's like, and you got to take the whole board out or something like that. And there's the elevated risk of pinching them or tearing them. So yeah. Thank you very much, Apple. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't hate on Apple to the same degree that Lewis does. I mean, he has to. It's part of his message to the world. It's part of how he rallies people to the cause. I think realistically, he probably would be perfectly happy using a MacBook in many cases. Certainly better than his Lenovo. The stunned silence of Lewis going, what? But when you do become a figurehead for a particular cause, then a lot of your options for what you can do get taken away from you. And so for Lewis, he's probably never going to be allowed to ever use a MacBook ever again. Because if he does, he'll probably be summarily executed for treason. Keep dreaming. Ha! Yeah. Michael Billman, personally, I'm finding that the M1s probably will end up being more repairable, particularly compared to, say, these things. Yeah, these last sort of developments of the MacBooks, I consider these particular boards to be less repairable than the M1s. The M1, I think, has a greater chance of survivability. It's a simpler board. It has actually got protection around the parts that matter. Oh, come on, man. So I think what we will see, I mean, hey, we're only going to find out in 5 years, but I think what we will see is a lot of these last generation of Intels, they'll quickly just become e-waste. People won't want to bother with them. And then the M1s will come along and we'll have a bit more of a repairability improvement in life. Okay, Lewis doesn't hate Apple. He intensely dislikes them on the business principle side of things. I think realistically, you can tell from the way he talks that he knows that from a design perspective, apart from the annoying 50 volt right next to the data line issues, he knows that they're generally engineered better than most PCs. But the trouble is, like I said, if you're, whoa, nice. Okay, that's the sort of corrosion you'd expect to see that would mess things up. Because those are some important test pads. Yes, the trouble is when you become the flag bearer, the messenger of certain things, then you can't always, I shouldn't say confuse the message, but you can't dilute the message. If you dilute the message, then it confuses people and you lose your following. Okay, quad display. So what are we looking at here? So group of 4, down, and a triangle. Okay, group of 4. Okay, I don't have, oh, hilarious. Oh wait, yeah, this one here. Okay, trackpad. And then this one here is also trackpad. So those two there are trackpad. So it's trackpad and trackpad. So that helps. That'll explain why we weren't getting trackpad. Can you imagine Lewis working on other brands of PCs? I think he would if he could get bored using schematics. And if he received a lot of the same kind of things. So that's the problem, is when you're dealing with PCs, most of the time you want to be dealing with one or two types. Like you basically work with a school or a university and they say buy 1,000 of one particular type of laptop. Because that's what makes the MacBook industry so convenient, is the fact that you only really have a fairly limited number of MacBooks that you work on, maybe 5 or 6 different types typically. And of those, there's a great deal of consistency between the designs, like your 239, your 928s, and your there's small variations of a common theme amongst most of the MacBooks. So that means you can easily go from a board you know to a board you haven't encountered before, but you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be chasing. So that's why the MacBook repair industry is so nice, because you don't have to change hats quite so much in terms of trying to remember what that particular design is doing, or that particular design. That said, PCs themselves are actually fundamentally, PC laptops are fundamentally, for the most part, all the same design. The trouble is that their layout and the way that they've been implemented in that particular brand and model changes, and that's the hard bit to get used to. Alright, so we've lost the test pad there completely. And that's not a problem because it doesn't look like it was a VIA based one, it was just simply a test pad. So no dramas there. But where the issue would have been coming up is the fact that it was mingling with this one here. And I don't know what this is. It might be ground, but I'm like, no, I don't think it is actually. Let's see. Or maybe it is. Okay, I think that one might be ground, but that corrosion has done a bit of a number. You can see where my blade is striking it. Oh, look at that, just eaten away. Again, these are test pads, so if they disappear, it's not a big issue, assuming that they don't have any vias under them. Most of the time, with these configurations, we don't see vias under them, which is a good thing. You can usually tell, quick test is just to scratch that off. Just do a diode test on the pad, not the remaining pad. But typically, if there is a via, you will see a little indent. And you can see it on this one here. I'll show you the difference. Okay, it's quite subtle. Go full screen for this one. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's very subtle, but just here, it looks like a little bit of a dark mark there. That is the head, that's the via stalk coming up. And it's also just there too. Whereas, okay, it looks like that's got 2 stalks coming up. Whereas these ones that come out from other areas on the same side generally don't have vias in them. So that one there is just, you're going to prove me wrong, that's probably got a stalk in it. That one doesn't. That one didn't. There's no stalk in there, is there? Oh, wait, what's this? I can't work out if that's glass. or a stalk. There's something there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, now I've got to be careful. See, I just dug through. But there's some sort of discoloration there and I can't work it out. Anyway, you can, if you look carefully, you can see if there is a stalk on them or not. This one here, that copper you can see in the pad there, that is from another trace passing by. Okay, Pilnov just made a good point there. Yeah, that's the only thing. Well, here we go. This is what we can do. The only thing Pilnov is, of course, don't forget sometimes they can have the veer under the pad for the part, like on the 820-00165s and 3437 on the RTC 3v3 cap, the decoupling cap. There is a veer directly under the pad of that. You don't know it until it corrodes through. So they can put veers under part pads. I don't really know if they're supposed to be doing that or whether it's frowned upon, but they do it. 3.2. So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. It certainly didn't feel like a normal one. Okay, this one here is open, and that. Great, you're also open. You guys are giving me the willies here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, let's have a look at what that resistor is for. Which one is it? Fourth one there. So trackpad connect. Where's the head off to? Okay, basically goes. Oh yeah. Okay, so basically just runs through to here. I guess what we'll do is, we know it's for trackpads, so if the trackpad doesn't work after we put it, test it again, we know that's what's causing it. But it is a nuisance when they put veers under component pads. It's very easy to not know that, to not see it, and then you can have a detached veer under a component, and that's how you can end up with boards that you simply just can't repair because you don't know where the fault is. Particularly if it's not, how can I put it? If it's not something that's going to cause a really distinctive fault. Yeah, something obscure like you don't have PM sleep S4L. Okay, that is a distinctive fault, but I mean a distinctive cause. Like you don't have PM sleep S4L, and it's because you've got a stalk under a pad that's broken off. You know, you're not going to find that. I'll tell you what, I really am hoping that that was the fault for this board. If it is, then I'm very, very happy. Steve K, yeah, I mean, X-ray machine could be very nice. Tim Herman's got one, lucky bastard. We can't have them here in Australia because they will imagine that we're going to kill ourselves with them, or at least burden the public health system in a few years with our self-induced cancer. Maybe they should just charge it out like cigarettes. Put a tax on it. If that was the trackpad, if that was the only fault, that could explain maybe why it's looping. If it's inducing some sort of key press or button press. Let's put it back in and see what happens. If we do get a win on this one, that is going to be a very rare win. Interestingly, again, a similar sort of situation. We've got a little bit of corrosion that doesn't seem to have a liquid ingress cause, so it's probably another bug fault. And I'm looking on this plastic here, and I can't see any like splattering or anything like that. So it looks like in this case it is indeed a bug fault. Okay, so we'll just let me cause some electrostatic discharge damage by using my very much fun compressed air. You are plugged in? Yes. People who worry about Damaros, hello, it's been a while since I've seen you, and well, what do you know, you introduce yourself with another 500, thank you. People freak out a bit about the fact that I use compressed air, and they're thinking, okay, it's going to cause electrostatic discharge because of the air moving through the hose, and it's not grounded, and all that sort of stuff. And I'll say, technically, you are correct. Technically, that process does cause a charge to build up. But what you have to realize is that electrostatic discharge issues are primarily focused, or primarily the victims are individual components that are just lying around as not attached to a board. They're free floating, fresh out of the packet, and maybe have some very high impedance inputs that haven't got any input protection for, I don't know, there could be reasons for that, like maybe they're very high grade, high sensitivity sensors or whatever. But once you start assembling parts onto a board, like a circuit board, those parts become very robust against electrostatic discharge because the board itself becomes more of the absorber, and it takes the hits, so to speak. And so you don't have the parts getting this whole shock on them. Certainly, I mean, I started electronics in the 80s, and it was always a gamble buying 4000 series CMOS chips, and you'd hope that someone hadn't been stuffing around with them, and you'd get home and you plug them into your board only to find that someone's blasted one or two of the ports, one or two of the gates on it. So yeah, I mean, back then, definitely a problem. These days, like I said, once your parts are assembled onto a board, the board itself, the whole thing, becomes very tolerant of electrostatic discharge. Did you test that copper nudge on the confused? Yes, I did, yeah. So yeah, by all means, be cautious. Don't go around like rubbing your feet and then go, zapping things like that. Don't do that. But in terms of the electrostatic discharge, that most of this equipment is designed for protecting. Like you have the metal thread overalls, you have the wrist strap, and all that sort of stuff. That sort of electrostatic discharge is actually stuff that you wouldn't normally even feel. Most of the time, when you're killing parts, if they're like JFETs or something like that from the 1960s or 70s, you don't even feel that shock. It just happens, and what do you know, your part's dead. But yeah, once you assemble parts onto a board, the entire assembly becomes very robust. I mean, crikey, this room has got carpet, and this room is an electrostatic nightmare, realistically. But I've never actually blown up any parts. Apart from a couple of 4000 series chips way back, it's not something that really happens. And particularly these days too, a lot of the chips, they all have integrated ESD protection. I mean, obviously it doesn't stop everything, but it's pretty hard to kill things with electrostatic discharge these days like this. If you're dealing with very high sensitivity equipment, high gains, extremely high input impedances, and capacitances, then fine. But for this sort of stuff, I think you're for the most part wasting your money trying to go the extra mile with that sort of stuff. Then again, I must say, some people do seem to, for whatever reason, their body model or whatever does seem to be particularly predisposed to detectable discharges, like the ones where they just walk up to everything. Doesn't matter if it's full humidity outside, they just walk up to something and then bam, they shock something. I don't know why it is that some people have that. I know Elita does tend to have that tendency, but some people are like that, some people are not. Oh yeah, the 1980s with the shocking all the machines. Yeah, you'd go along, rub your feet, hit the case, and they would do the reset. You've probably got more chance of damaging things now just simply from floating grounds. Like if I go along and plug a laptop into a PowerPoint that's over there, and then connect my dodgy multimeter that's connected to another PowerPoint over here, and then I bring the grounds together, or I just touch it, and the ground difference is a few thousand volts. That can upset things. I don't know if any of you experienced it, but when you used to get parallel printers or serial ports, when you are touching the PC and then you're touching the serial port, you will actually get the electric shock that will drill its way through your fingers because of the ground differences. So I shouldn't actually call it a shock, it's a constant flow of electricity, and it just drills a hole through your fingers. And that hurts, that really hurts. Electric eel syndrome, yeah, that's probably a good term for it. At first I didn't know what was happening, because I remember the first time I encountered it, I was redoing a whole bunch of serial printers in a building, and they had a large gang array of serial ports, and I had to go and recable all the ends of it, so just put new ports. I think we were switching from 25 pin down to DB9s, and I couldn't work it out. It was like I would be working on these things and I would start feeling like there's a burr or something on the metal, and it wasn't. I'd check the metal, feel it with my finger, and there was no burr, but then I'd turn my back, and before I know it, I feel like I'm getting cut or drilled by this little metal burr, but it wasn't. It was the electricity trying to do its best to burn its way through me. And of course lightning strikes are always good for destruction of equipment. I know whenever storm season turned up when I was working in South Africa, particularly in the Highveld area, I would just have to stock up with hubs and routers, pretty much everything, because almost every time a storm came through, one of the game parks or something would cop a direct hit, And they would be fairly well protected where they were, because if you look at the pictures of a lot of the game parks, they have thatched roofs, like just grass thatch, and most of them will have probably a 20-meter tall lightning spike. And even with, if they don't have that, then the thatch roofs will tend to catch on fire quite a lot. But in spite of all that, just the electrostatic discharge impulse, or I should say the EMP effect, occasionally would build up on the networking cable. We were using Cat 5 at that point, and it would take out a few hubs here and there. So we did look at getting surge protectors and all that for the ports on the hubs, but it ended up it was just cheaper to keep replacing the hubs. If everything is earthed properly, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, improper or no earthing happens, especially because SMPS will leak. Yeah. Yes, Penov, that's the typical thing though, isn't it? Yeah, if everything is done properly, it shouldn't happen. But how often does that happen? Not often enough. Particularly if you have buildings that have been repurposed, or you got equipment from strange places. Yeah, Miles, you're lucky the RCD did trip. Else you wouldn't be here talking, probably. Alright, let's get this screwed in. Now, really hope that privacy cover. It's all of a sudden getting warm in here, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just me. Okay. Oh, right. That is actually genuinely turned off. That's Creature's fault, because he was telling me to turn on and off. Okay, so we've got 20 volts, we're going up to an amp, so that's all happening. Fans are spinning. We've got a bong. Got an Apple logo. Hey Sonny, how's it going? Can you watch my board repair video and give me some pointers when you get the chance? Let's see, you talking about the one where you give away Lewis's secrets and then you accuse me of baby kangaroo photography? No? Is that the one you're talking about? Okay, so we are in fact on a repair thing here. Okay. Yep, trackpad's cactus. So it could well be that those test points do need to be reconnected, since we've got nothing going on here. That really sucks, because the test pads and all that are on the other side of the board, so I do have to take this whole thing out. Oh man. Let's see, we got a cap lock coming up? No cap lock. Son of a gun. And the fans are going absolutely bonkers, and my exposure is way out of control here. What's up with your camera? Why are you going all crazy with your exposure? It's better. It kind of sounds like one of my sensors is out of control. I would say that's because of the trackpad, that's why it's doing that. If the trackpad was healthy, it wouldn't be doing that. Sonny, so which board are you trying to repair? Or were you in fact talking about my kangaroo picture one? Yeah. Can't tell with you, Sonny. Sometimes I want to help you, but then I'm not sure whether you're just leading me into a trap. So, come over here, Paul. We've got candy for you. You want some ice cream? We know you like ice cream, Paul. Come over here. Come to the ice cream truck and come and get some ice cream. And then I reach out to get the ice cream, and you and other people just grab me, throw me into the back of the truck, and next thing I wake up being gagged and bound, and I've got a swinging light in front of me, and someone's going to start waterboarding me. So yeah, it's hard to tell whether to trust you or not. It's a trap. Okay. Yeah, Oscar, that's a good idea. Invoice the customer now that we've got fan spin. Alright, so given that we really do not have trackpad there, I think we can maybe guess that perhaps there is a problem. We do need the connectivity between the two pads. It's not guaranteed, but we will reconnect what we can and see if that improves things. And my goodness, next time I think I'll just quickly test it rather than having to redo all these freaking connectors again. Oh my goodness, what a pain in the backside. Never trust someone who calls themselves Sunny on Halloween. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just the happy life of the party. Even trying to get these boards out is an exercise of madness. What is this, a Sparta board? Do I have another 1700? I don't think I've got another 1700 that I can compare with, unfortunately. Alright, let's see what we can do. At least we know the damage we have here is trackpad related. So what we can do, first thing we'll tackle is we'll see what this one's doing here, see if that goes anywhere. So 6877. Okay, the nice thing is it's 30 ohms, so that is kind of handy. If it was 0 ohm, that'd be a real pain. Let's see, resistance. So I'm just going to first verify that it's still 30 ohms. It should be. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. Okay, so 30 ohms, that's good. We just had a hurricane in New York City. What happened? Seriously, did you? Why are you giving me... Why are you giving me frequency? I asked for diode mode. Jeez, even my multimeter's not listening to me today. Okay. $4895. So what we're going to do here is we're going to rotate that resistor off that pad. Just put a tiny bit of leaded on it. and a huge bit of pointless flux. Damn it, now I'm just smearing it everywhere. Oh, this is a travesty. And nice to see after 10 minutes, yes indeed, the wand does go cold, so that's great. That's behaving how I want it to. So thank you very much for telling me how to switch that over. I do appreciate that. Hey Nelson, where's the time? Oh crikey, it's 1:15. I haven't checked that everybody's safely in. Okay, so let's see if we get anything on that pad. Okay, so the pad is open circuit. Alright, which means the fact that that pad is open circuit means that this down here is what is disconnected. So we have to work out, that's, yeah. Oh, that's annoying. That's really annoying. Because I don't know if that bit that I've scratched back is in fact the correct trace, or whether it's just an innocent bystander. So 0.45. So that may be the via point for it, or that may be a trick. Maybe a trick. Okay, I'm gonna just go in very carefully. Very carefully. We actually, so carefully we're gonna change our surgical blade. We're gonna get a new one. Well, it's open line at the moment since I took the resistor away, so that means it's... Okay, I see what your point is there, Pianov. Yeah, okay, I see what your point is. You're basically saying, oh man, I need a second point of reference here. I know what Pianov's saying now. Okay, so we really need to compare to this point here. We need to see if there's continuity between that and the test pad on the other side. Yeah, the vias don't show up because they're internal vias. They're not like the old style ones where they've drilled through and. Yeah, they're actually no such luck. There's too many to put on the board view. Okay, so yeah, as Pianov mentioned, yeah, with this disconnected, it's going to be open line. Interestingly enough, that one there is 0.48. Sorry about the out of focus. When I press down, it causes that to happen. So yeah, we've got open for that, 0.48 for that. This is, yeah, SDA and... The fact that... Okay, so that's good. That's probably because of the pull-ups. So that kind of makes me think that the other one should also be 0.48. Steve, there was the other one as well. There was a couple of them. And the fact that... Damn it, where is it? I do have 0.48 up here makes me think that Yeah, this is probably meant to be connected. Fun. This is the other one I thought you were talking about, Steve. This one here. So if I was a gambling man, I'd say that indeed does go off to the connector. Crap, I could do with another 1700. Anyone got a 1700 out there? Okay, so how can I do this? Well, there's a couple of ways. What I can do is actually put something... Oh, I know. I can just bridge the two pins on the other side, on the connector, and that should make the other one become the same, and then we can test it. So basically here, what I can do is I can just bridge those two, and then that'll at least let me know if we're connected or not. It's not the prettiest way of doing it, but it works. I deliberately made that a really bad, sloppy connection because I don't actually want it to flow in and be all nice and happy with itself. Okay. Continuity. Okay, so those two are connected now, which means that open line that... Oh, crikey. If that is connected, then we should now get 0.48 on it. Or something close to that. And it's remaining open, so therefore it would imply that that little smidge of copper there may in fact be our path to happiness. So we're going to have to go through the mines of Moria. Yeah, Steve, anything to do the job, and it's going to come off real easy. I can probably flick that thing off. Okay, now I'm just going to see if I can get a connection here and hope it comes up 0.48. Come on. Yeah. Okay, so that's likely what it is. And the way we can prove that it is that, I think, is if we disconnect that bridge that we made, that should go back to being open. Anel, because I've got that kind of personality that, things just fall apart around me with glee. Anel, what blimmin' software is Dan using for board view? I don't know if Lewis is trolling the shit out of me or what, but what software is Dan using? Because apparently he's using something different, and it's driving me mad. He won't answer my email. I'm guessing it's something like Xishang Wang or something, I don't know. One of those consolidated packages that have a billion board views and all the service data and things like that on them, but they also come with free malware. Hey, how's the moth? Okay, so now we want to make sure that doesn't have any activity on it. Anyway, it's ticking me off, and it wouldn't be too bad if you just email me back, but like I said, I can't stand it if someone's trolling me on that. Yeah, I've got to head these things off before they get out of control. Damn it, I hate it that goes out of focus, and I'm very sorry about that. And we're not getting any contact. Loathe software, what's that? And now the board views for the M1 do in fact exist. We do have them. I paid for them. You got the 2020, the 2016, and I've got one more coming out in a month or two, maybe less. Since Yazao, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the board views exist. Flexboard reads them. I already gave them to Lewis too. And like I said, I paid a pretty penny to get them. Okay, so I think we need to make that connection for our trackpad to work again. Unbelievable. Yeah, now look, tell Dan that there are board files for the M1s. I've got them. And there are for Flexboard View. Hey, looky. Alright, so now we've got to somehow make a reasonable connection to that. Now I've got to find my... And we've got the 1958, which I know is not an M1, but yeah, in case he's also thinking that wasn't available. Steve, I don't know. Maybe people don't lie intentionally. Maybe it just happens. Okay, Neil, thanks. I appreciate that. I really do, actually. I know I'm joking about some things, but I'm also I get serious about when it comes to these matters as well. Okay, scratchy time, and hopefully we don't lose too much copper. Alright, I can see where the stalk was now. It was an offset stalk, and it completely corroded through. Yeah, you can see where the stalk round shaft was, and it was just corroded through, and it was just that green glassy stuff that I couldn't work out. Oh crikey, of all the times you want full microscope there. Now Pianov, I am working on the editing side of Flexboard View, so we will be able to make proper 840, 138, 340, yeah, we will be able to make proper ones soon enough. Just a case of getting around to it, and I mean I've even got the iPhone 11 and 12 and XS, and I've got all those, but I just, once again, haven't had a chance to clean them up to make them presentable. Yeah, I'm gonna go try for the back end of the micro pencil first, just like that. It's going to be a pretty delicate connection there. Look at my Puritan on his face and put, ha! So I think once the editing facilities in Flexboard View are better, then it'll be a lot easier. We're going to be able to add parts, add connections, all that sort of stuff. Move parts, add pins. It kind of already is in there. You just have to press a certain key sequence to make it reveal itself. But as you can imagine, I haven't exactly done that yet because I don't want to be answering a whole bunch of questions on how to use it when I'm not yet finished with developing it. Can't decide whether to just use bare wire or whether to get some lintz wire. Use one of my 30. Yeah, 35 would actually be too big for that, funnily enough. That's more like about a 0.2. In fact, even a 0.2 is probably a bit big. It's scary how big solder balls really are when you start working in this sort of level. Or scale, rather. I shouldn't say level. Level implies, like, skill level. There's nothing skilled here. This is just desperate work by me. Westlink, I got no problems with the M1's component quality. Seems perfectly good to me. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to diss Apple boards, but honestly, I find the quality to be better than most PCs. Okay, we actually don't know if that's... I should have... I can't disconnect that to prove that this is connected, other than... I think I might put some hot air on it and see how it reflows. Maybe I'll just get a smidge of solder paste. Solder paste is another thing where it can be very easy to put way too much on there, and you're not even trying, you just have a tiny little... You just think, oh yeah, it's a tiny little sort of piece of solder paste at the end, and then before you know it, it's like, wow, that's too much solder paste. I mean, look at all that. That's way too much solder paste. And that's an absolutely minuscule amount, really. It's kind of terrifying at these levels that you basically can count, almost count the number of solder balls in the solder paste. What's frustrating here is that it kind of doesn't want to come off my blade. Okay, I'm gonna have to be happy with that. Ach, geen one. That was weird. I don't think this is going to be enough though. Crank it up. So the trouble is I want to get the board warm enough. It's got to go down that extra layer and get that trace to be hot enough to actually make the connection. Hopefully I can trust that. Because the only thing we really do is test it. Thought I could smell something burning. I left the napkin under the paper burn. Oh well. Okay, so we try to reassemble this again. I wonder how little I need to reassemble in order to be able to... Don't do that, Paul. In order to be able to test it. So Newsacat, you're the autistic one, are you? Counting those balls? Okay, once again, we cannot escape the reality that even just for this, we have to tape back those cables, otherwise we will pinch them underneath. Typically, damn Captain tape, single-use tape. You're not even real Captain tape, you're just fake. Real polyamide tape costs you quite a lot of money. This stuff was like $2 a spool, and it's like, yeah, you're definitely not real polyamide tape. I did have some real polyamide tape and I used it all up, and I just haven't got around to buying a new roll of it. It is not cheap stuff. Not if you get the real stuff. If it's cheap, you're probably not getting the real stuff. Damn it, I melted the connector a bit. That just is so typical. I can replace that connector, but it's like, seriously, I'm going all this way and you pull out a molten connector on me now. It's not fully molten, I should be able to still get the trackpad on it, but hilariously it is the trackpad connector, so it seems the universe is not giving up without a fight. The son of a bitch of a universe really isn't giving up with a fight. You gotta be kidding me! That burning paper. Oh my goodness. Seriously? Oh, seriously? Come on. Looks like I can replace the connector, it's just a case of now I can't test it. Okay, so what I can do is I can just shave off the end, and that will at least allow it to connect. But that's just so typical. And all that because I wanted to reflow that paste. Alright, that's connected. There's just things like that that suck up the time of your day, change it from being a straightforward process to yet another little hiccup. They add up, and particularly when you're already having a bit of a rough run on something, and it just makes you sort of get a little bit cranky. Just a little bit cranky. Make you yell at people. Hopefully not customers though. You don't want to yell at customers too much. Yeah, it's just an incredible coincidence of annoyance that it happens to be exactly the connector I needed to test. It couldn't be any other connector. No, no, no. I mean, I should be thankful. At least it's not the worst connector to replace. At least it wasn't anything too critical. It's just more of, well, that's just another pain in my backside. As if my bad eating wasn't enough. I don't know, but let's see if this even starts up now. Oh, come on, connect it all. Yeah, that's speaker, that's speaker. And it doesn't help that it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning here. And I wonder why I wake up feeling like I've been run over by a freight train. I suspect it's all the anguish at these boards, especially the 1700s. All the anguish that they bring me. I mean, I should be thankful. I'm getting the work, so I'm happy. But it can be pretty damn costly at times. Well, no explosions yet. Need a vacation. I'll tell you what, someone drop me 20 grand and I'll consider that a vacation. Oh, notice something? Fans are not going crazy. Yet. We do not have trackpad still. Okay, let's see if the fans go. The fans have stopped going crazy, that I can tell. Yeah, before they were running absolutely maximum. Yeah, Prater, if they drop 20k, I'll give them 2 or 3 licenses for free. I think the fan might be speeding up now. So we kind of fixed one issue. It's not to say that the trackpad itself isn't actually damaged. Who knows? Maybe the trackpad is faulty. Maybe it's just my dodgy connector. It certainly must be having some sort of communications now. Yeah, USB mouse would probably work, but it kind of defeats the intent of what we're trying to do here, which of course is to find out, to get trackpad running. What about keyboard? Interestingly, we don't have keyboard. That's the only thing that wigs me out a bit. We do have click. So we do have a click, but we don't have, like I said, we don't have that. kind of confusing. Flex could be dead, yeah. In that dodgy connector, it looks like solderable in the center of that. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll just try and boot this with the option command. I have a feeling this isn't going to go. First and second pin were the trackpad pins. Clock and data. Okay, so keyboard's definitely not responding still. $1,700 known good trackpad, not something I have in stock. I do have a thermal imaging camera, but that's not going to tell us anything in this case. We don't have a short or anything like that. We just simply have damaged communication lines. It may be that the other ones are also need to have reconnections made. Yeah. Oops, I just disconnected while the battery's still functional. So what I'll do is I'll take the board out yet again, and I will jumper up. There was just that one other one. We'll jumper that up. Let's see how it goes. Not much else we can do. That connector is a little bodgy, but I don't think that connector is a problem. I think we have actually now regained some form of trackpad communications because the fan was not going absolutely bonkers. The fan was being normal. So we definitely did make an improvement there. Just kind of curious as why the keyboard's not up and running. Not sure if, I'm guessing maybe this model, it runs like with the others, it runs the keyboard through the trackpad. All this practice putting it in and out, at least I'm going to get a bit quicker at it. Tony, it's not going to boot because I can't induce it to boot from an alternate device, at least not without plugging in an external keyboard, yeah. Okay, we essentially only have the one trace that needs to be reconnected. That being this one here. I'm sort of disinclined to think that that's going to matter, but then again I felt the same way about this one. And I still don't know absolutely how good this connection is. I don't know if it really has made a connection. I may have to rotate this resistor off just so I can confirm that I've made a proper connection. The other test point right below where you were working looked like there was a break in the trace. You're talking about this one here? Because yeah, that's definitely broken. But the trouble with this one is, I couldn't really confirm that. Well, let's have a look at what that was. I've forgotten it already. Okay, that's trackpad SPI MISO, whereas the one we just fixed is I2C trackpad connection clock. So we'll reconnect the MISO one. I have a feeling though it's probably... who knows? Who damn well knows? I don't know. We'll reconnect it, you never know. Actually, I think I can see that there is a veer under there. Okay. It's very hard to spot, but I can see the concentric ring under it. Oh, crikey, sorry folks. You can't really see it in this camera, but there is a concentric ring in there, so he's hoping. The problem can be that even though, well, remember, when these MacBooks start up, they actually do use the degenerative, as it were, I2C mode, SPI mode, whatever, and then they switch over to USB, I think. Or is it? No. Ah, fuck it, I can't tell. Anyway, they have the two modes. They use one in the EFI state, damn it, and then they switch over to the other. Actually, I think they use USB in the EFI state, and they switch over in macOS to the SPI or I2C. I don't know which one it is. Which is why in Linux, with MacBooks that have this dead mouse and trackpad, can actually work, because Linux will actually do it through the USB mode, whereas the Mac won't. Sorry, I know, out of focus. Can't do anything about it, folks. Yeah, no kidding, Steve. No kidding. I don't want to accidentally grab. You know what's going to happen if I just put my soldering iron on there. It's just going to lift that wire right off. Okay. Yeah, it's getting to the point where maybe we just should assume that they're all hiding hidden veers. I cannot begin to describe to you how mad I am about that. Maybe I can begin by saying I'm mad about that. That's a real balls up, that one. Really not happy about that. Yeah, see, it's cracked it off. Damn it. And for those who are just joining, yes, this will get replaced. We're just simply trying to test right now. So it doesn't matter if it gets cracked off during testing, because I suppose the easiest thing really just to break it off entirely. Trying not to be quite so brutish. Okay. Yeah, Miles gonna have to revoke my license. Hey Tim, how's it going? Look at this, Tim. Bloody 1700 boards. And this one was going to be the easier sort, but it ended up still being a nightmare because I couldn't control my new hot air properly, and subsequently it melted the freaking trackpad connector of all things. I mean, yeah, I can replace it, but it's just annoying that I even have to. Do some very fine microplastic welding. Yeah, I think it's going to be easier for me to replace the connector. Since there's enough dead 1700s around, I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Okay. Dear 1700 board, I can't wait for you to never exist. It's like Apple said to someone, how can we make the life of everybody complete living hell? Tim, you're only saying that they're easy because you're thinking just throwing them in the bin. I know how you're going there. You're trying to make it sound like you're all smart and everything. Well, I guess you are. But I know that you're just tossing them in the bin. Which is the smart thing to do. JB will. That's a good idea. Oh, I see what you're saying, right. No comma there. I misread you. I thought you were being smarty talk and riddle style. The 1700s are easy. You just throw them out because you don't do them, and therefore it's easy. Yeah. I wonder if Alita's still watching Epic NPC Man at the moment. Speaker. Have you already checked? No, I haven't, because I don't have a spare on hand to check. But the fact that we went from high fan spin to normal fan spin with the previous correction we made gives me hope that this next VIA that we just fixed may restore everything. Big hopes. Big hopes. But hey, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got to have that. And if it's not, then tomorrow I'll just order a replacement 1700 trackpad or find one. In the meantime, we're doing what we can. Because 1700s, like I said, are generally banned from here. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, Steve, that's pretty much what is happening. Yep, hair going greater. Uh, but I've still got click on the trackpad, so that's a good start. Okay, notice how that was actually very quick this time. So I've got hope. Come on. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Groovy. That's it. Notice how it was very quick to come up with the apple. So, what can I say? Suck on it, naysayers. Suck on it. And track keyboard. Yeah, see the green light coming up. Oh, wow. Nice. Okay, let's see if Wi-Fi works and we can actually get this thing to reinstall. Well, it's an interesting lesson. It's a lesson that, unlike sensible designs, these jock straps went along and stuck vias under test pads. Okay, I mean, I get it. Sometimes you have to do it because you don't have enough space. But, I don't know. I wonder if they fired the entire design team that was responsible for things like this 1700. I can only hope. Okay, let's go again and see if... Oh, it's automatically starting on me. Great. Oh, that is so nice. What's my password? Hey, admin media. Yeah. Austin Powers is a groovy baby, isn't he? Yeah, I haven't watched any of his movies. The only thing I know about is the Madonna song. What is it? Something Stranger. Beautiful Stranger. And I remember the scene with him trying to turn the cart around in a narrow corridor. And that's about it. That's about the most I know about it. This is loading. Was it? This is loading a OS installer from the internet by the looks of it. I do wonder if in fact I can just try and boot from one of my sticks. I might try that. It probably isn't going to let me. It's probably going to say, you do not have the security set up to permit this level of booting. Yeah, it's just gone straight to... Oh wait, no, if it's Big Sur, yeah. I was going to say it's Big Sur, then I can do this. Yep. Yeah, it's going to go into the security measure. See, I wasn't sure because they had it before and they reformatted it. So I wasn't sure what state they would have. But I think in this instance we can say that it's going to lock it out. Alright, just cancel that. Yep, that's what we kind of expected. We hoped for something different, but that's what we got. But at least we've got a working machine. Let's see, just on-off button. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2. Probably confuses some people. They're like, why are you pressing the 9 key when you're counting from 1 to 7? That's funny, this is definitely the opposite of what I was anticipating tonight. Like, I was genuinely thinking that the 1827 was going to be the simple job, because we had the corrosion on the little caps by the CD3215, and that turned out not to be the case, and I was expecting this one to be the absolute nightmare. And while it wasn't the greatest, it at least did result in a successful, it seems to be, we're going to have a successful repair here. And we learned things. We learned that there are veers under those particular pads, which is frustrating, but at least we know they're there. It's awfully slow though. It's probably trying to compete with my stream, so you know what? I think I probably should call it for tonight. It is after 2 o'clock, so we know we've fixed that particular fault. It is interesting that when we fix the first one, we resolve the high fan spin, and when we fix the second one, we resolve the actual activity there. And of course it does prove again that the Mac does in fact run the trackpad and the keyboard off that SPI I2C rather lines, as opposed to the USB. So anyway, alright, well, thank you very much for sticking around with me. I appreciate it, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Who knows, might get more machines tomorrow, might not. Maybe I'll do something else. Till then, take care. Once again, appreciate it. I'll see you later. Take care.